Hello, everyone. My name's Matt. I'm the Game Master for tonight, and welcome to Telling Tales. We run atmospheric role playing games here on Twitch, and then we put them on YouTube, and then everyone watches them, including you, apparently. Um, so we've got Blades in the Dark tonight. It's our second episode playing this. We had a lot of fun with the first. And as usual, the start of the stream is heralded by the arrival on screen of our stream manager, Steve, who is working tirelessly away in the background with things like cameras and images and chat and stuff like that. Hi, Steve.
Hi there, Matt.
And how are you doing tonight, Steve? Are you excited for Blades in the Dark?
Absolutely, yes. Especially after last week's events towards the end of the session. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It saw one of our players plummeting into the canals of Doskwall, and I'm sure equally wonderful events will happen tonight. So thank you to Steve. And yeah, let's get some promo out of the way. There's a bunch of links down below. There's links to Twitch and YouTube. You're watching on one, why not check out the other? There's links to our social media, to our Discord, where you can go and join up and talk to us about all things roleplay, all things telling tales. Links to our Patreon if you feel like supporting us further in return for some lovely treats like carrot creation videos and the like. We run quite a few weekly series, Monday through to Wednesday at the moment. So all 3 nights at 8 o'clock BST, we run something or other here on Twitch. Call of Cthulhu is on Mondays. Blades in the Dark, this is on Tuesdays. And Wednesdays is going to be home for a short while to a Coriolis series. Coriolis is a wonderful sci-fi setting from Free League, and that starts tomorrow. Tomorrow being the 9th of June. So hope to see you there. We also run monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month, the most recent of which was this weekend just gone, and that was The Expanse. The VOD for that is still available on Twitch, and we'll be heading to YouTube by the end of the week. We also did like a kind of podcast thing last week, and there are various bits and pieces, but go check out our YouTube and you will find them all. That's the lovely promo out of the way as I sweat horribly in my old school goth shirt, loyal to the end to thick black t-shirts, and I will start bringing on the players. And first off, we're going to bring on Sam. Sam plays Silver, the crew's slide. And Sam, how did things pick up for the keepers in our first episode? Oh, you are on mute, I'm afraid, Samuel.
Oops. We started off at a meeting, or at least we'd gone to see an anarchist who we frequently work with called Decker, and he was giving a bit of a speech, but when we showed up, he took a break and talked to us a little bit, and basically he told us that we'd been doing fine work smuggling in pamphlets and other random anarchist things into the city, but if we really wanted to help him out and earn some pay, the best thing would be to bring in a guy who we don't know anything about, who's going to arrive near where our lair is, which is in Silkshore, and we had to get him to a doctor on Saltford Street, I think,
or more precisely to a house for a doctor on Salford Street, but yeah,
which is in the docks. And which seemed fine, seemed reasonable. One slight complication was that in the time between us receiving this kind of mission, this score, and it actually going ahead, the docks got put into quarantine. So that made things slightly more complicated.
Absolutely. And at the moment, I think it's fair to say you have no idea exactly why they've gone into quarantine. There were various rumors circulating about it, but there we go. And to talk to us about how the start of the score went, let's bring on Justin. Justin plays 3 Sheets, the crew's hound. Hi, Justin.
Hello. Yeah, it was great. We decided to take a 2-pronged approach where we'd approach by river and by rooftop. Which was pretty good. First of all, the first challenge we had to overcome was a blue coat, I suppose, blockade that stopped us on the river, and we had Silver managed to talk her way out of the situation and produce some papers that were acquired from a blue coat contact of ours that kind of falsified ours transporting goods across the rivers that night, allowing us to get through the blockade by boat. And then Echo and I, who were on the roof, we provided a slight distraction in the form of a thrown brick to help to ease that process along, and then scurried across the rooftops on our own way. Basically, that was all kind of fine, apart from when we wanted to investigate a small riot that had broken out as a result of the quarantine that was instigated by the billhooks and various other people at the docks, in which we, in investigating it, slipped onto a balcony, which was right in front of a blue coat, an armed, retiring blue coat who probably wouldn't have been very happy with us. We only just escaped with our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And while that was happening on the rooftops, some more dramatic events were happening down on the canal. Let's bring on John, our third player, who plays Bricks, the crew's cutter. And John will tell us what happened on the canals.
So we were progressing at a bit of a pace, successfully navigating the waterways to head towards Salford Street. Until our ship acquired a stowaway who jumped onto the boat in some distress and was seemingly hiding from, we later found out, billhooks, who we want nothing to do with, and she wants nothing to do with. And as she won't get off our boat, we're currently hiding her under some netting and tarpaulin.
Absolutely. The billhooks, for people who are new, incidentally, a gang of notoriously violent and bloodthirsty brutes. And as you were going on, it's fair to say the riots were intensifying. There was sounds of gunfire. There were fires set all over the place. The circling of ravens overhead to indicate that people were dying down there. But the riots are one thing. There were more troubles up on those rooftops of the docks. And let's bring on our final player, Pierre. Pierre plays Echo, who is the class I've forgotten the name of the group.
I'm the lurk.
Lurk, thank you. Who's the lurk of the group. Pierre, what did you find up there?
Well, we were sort of going through this rooftop shanty town. I imagined like very densely populated, except it wasn't. There was no one there. Everything was rather empty. And you got like this weird feeling on the back of your neck, and everything seemed to be wrong. And then we saw it being a being of a strange being of lightning or something. It freaked us the hell out. It was a spirit, basically. I seeing it initially froze, but then realized we were in terrible danger. We had heard rumors that potentially the reason for the blockade was paranormal, and so I had prepared a small idol, which I covered in my blood as a sort of distraction for the apparition. I threw the idol far away. The ghost kind of went for it aggressively, just as planned, and I bolted as fast as I could. Fortunately, I bolted straight off the edge of the building, and there wasn't anywhere to grab onto. So towards the water, I plummeted at great speed. And yeah, a rooftop fall into water is not to be advised.
No, especially not ice cold water.
That's where we ended up.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
in mechanical terms, if anyone's familiar with Blades in the Dark, that was Echo gaining a full stress tracker. And now Echo is MIA and will return at some point this evening with having gained a lovely trauma for herself, which I'm sure everyone will appreciate. So while we're on that topic, while Echo is gone, let's just This is me trying to bash Pierre's cam away. Yeah, that worked. That was funny.
Aggressive.
Yeah. So, folks, we'll pick up exactly where we left off. Bricks and Silver, you probably heard some kind of commotion up on the rooftop. But I'm going to say that because Three Sheets, and Echo, I think, were held back by the ghost, I'm going to say that's actually kind of behind you. And I'm also going to say that you weren't exactly sure what the commotion was, but, here you are. And do I think you'd hear, you know what, over the noise of the riot, I don't think you'd hear Pierre hitting the water. Because there's gunshots aplenty and screams and stamping of feet and all that kind of stuff going on. As for Three Sheets, I believe we left you desperately running through what remains of the shantytown.
Yes.
And the docks opening up ahead of you, the vision of the docks now half on fire, and ahead of you is your destination, Saltford Street, which is a street built over other streets via a kind of slightly arcane and worse for wear system of kind of like steel and iron struts and girders and the like. But you are extremely close to there now, to the point where it may be a good idea. It's up to you to rejoin your companions down on the canal.
I think that Three Sheets instead would probably try and find a high up position from which the way they can kind of survey the whole scene. So they have a good view of Saltford Street or Saltford Road, and the house.
It is Saltford Street.
Street, yeah.
There is nowhere in the nearby locale higher than Saltford Street. It's higher than where you are now on a rooftop.
But does that mean that I can kind of have like a clear view of it from where I'm kind of perched?
Not particularly. You can see the street itself, but the street on top of all these, this structure of like a bridge over other streets has on top of it a load of tumble down houses and buildings, and it's kind of slightly side on from where you are now, so it's obscuring kind of your view of the street itself, if you see what I mean. And the only real access to it, unless you want to basically both ways, there's two ways of accessing it. One is to start walking up the street where it comes off the ground, and the other would be to clamber up the side of the street and kind of get access to it by that way. Both of which would require going to the ground first.
Okay,
there's no way across to it, if you see what I mean.
Okay. Well, I think in which case I may as well meet up with Bricks and Silver as I go down.
Sure. And I think that's as you come down to the street level, as I say, the riots have spread, and there's a fire escape down on the edge of your building, and at the bottom of it you can see a kind of alleyway which looks to be deserted, but leads onto a square where you can literally see people scuffling with each other, and kind of someone kind of far over the end of the square, like throwing a Molotov cocktail square into the window of some kind of shop.
Good.
So with that in mind, how are you going to navigate this and find your companions?
I think, well, what I want to do is wreck, but I'm no good at wrecking. But I think with wreck, you have to you roll twice and take the lowest result. If you have no dice in something, you roll twice and take the lowest result, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I would like to.
The other end of the alleyway, incidentally, is the canal.
Okay, sorry. So I have to get across the alleyway through the crowd. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. You have, so you're coming down off the building into an alleyway.
Okay.
At one end of the alleyway, which is completely open. At one end of the alleyway is the riot happening, and at the other end is the canal. But it's like you will be visible. So, you might want to be.
I probably would go through the riots.
That's exactly the opposite direction to get to your friends.
Okay, so my friends are at the canal, yeah.
Yeah, they're in the boat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then and the question, and then we're saying, how am I going to get to the canal rather than just climb down? Surely.
Yes, but as I've said, the riots are right there, and the alley is in full visibility of them. You can just go down and go, well, fuck it, and just like walk along if you want, and just hope no one sees you or try, in any way. But I'm asking you if you want to be stealthy, if you want to find another way to the canal, something like that. It's up to you, though. You can just walk there if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I mean, I don't really see why people who are going having a riot will bother too much about someone climbing off a wall. Yeah, I think
it's more that you are aware there are a lot of billhooks here, and they consider you to be enemies of a sort.
That's true. Well, I guess I would. The only people I really care about avoiding are the billhooks. In which case, sure. I will happily prowl around them. And yeah, I can make a prowl roll for that.
Sure. Yeah. So you can make a prowl roll to head down that alleyway in a cautious manner. Sure.
Got one die.
How many? One die. Lovely. Do you want now? Obviously, no one can help you with this. Do you want to? Does anyone want to offer him a devil's bargain or anything like that?
Can you tell me what the position and the effect are, or whatever?
The position is risky, so just normal, and the effect is normal.
I'm rolling. Unless anyone's got anything to say. No, good.
Can't think of anything.
Got a 2.
Got a 2. All right. Well, nothing. I'd say immediately happens. Let's take a quick look at what that would be. So risky. Things go badly. You suffer harm. A complication occurs. You end up in a desperate position. You lose this opportunity. Yeah. Okay. Let's go with this. So. I'm going to say that you prowl moderately, not successfully, in that you are somewhat noticed by the people moving past you. And for that purpose, and I have my progress clocks here tonight, folks. So there we go. There's actually 4 of them running here. And these ones here aren't anything. But for this, I'm only going to add 1 tick. I'm just going to add 1 tick to... Bill Hook's attention, but I'm going to say you lose the opportunity. So what happens is you get to the end of that alleyway to the canal, and not only is it just flush with the canal, there's no pathway to walk further up it, but you can see your companions on your vessel, on your boat, just turning out of view down the end. So unless you want to dive into the ice cold canal and swim for it, you cannot find them this way, and there's only one other way out of this alleyway.
Well, I was game to go through the riots in the first
sure.
So it's fine by me.
Sure. So you move to the end of the alleyway. There is, as I say, a lot of people scuffling around, some shops being set on fire. You can see at least 1 bill hook, recognizables by sort of, they have kind of typically they have kind of butchers or cargo shifters aprons on, and this is a big man dressed like that with a roughly shaved head, and he has a meat hook in one hand, and he's not fortunately plunging it into anyone, but he's just beating someone on the ground repeatedly who looks to be long past fighting back.
Great. I'm just going to keep moving.
Cool. Any attempt to be stealthy, or you just bold, kind of, being bold with it?
I think. I'm moving from A to B as quickly as I can.
Sure. Yeah. Do we want to then? I feel like some roll here should be made. And if you're just moving there as quickly as possible, what would we think that is? Finesse? I think it might even be prowl again. I remember someone commented that speed on its own is just prowl, which Pierre is saying in the thing. So yeah, go ahead and give me a prowl roll again. Well, actually, no, that's not right. This is Blades in the Dark. You tell me what you want to roll for it.
I want to roll wreck, and I want to throw things through windows.
Okay. So,
but I
like
don't have
blend
wreck.
in. So, like basically blending. Oh, but you don't. Okay.
But I can still roll. I roll 2 die and take the lowest
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
right?
yeah. You can
But
do
that's
that.
what I'm going to do. Unless anyone
Okay.
wants to give me a devil's bargain to get 1 die.
I would say that this is. I would say that doing that with Rec is desperate, but I would say it can have great effect. Because I think desperate it is drawing attention to yourself. But on the other hand, I think if it works, it'll work pretty well.
I mean, yeah.
All right.
Might get some coin out of it. Well, I've got no devil's bargains out of it, so I guess I'm just rolling 2 and taking the worst.
No, you know what? I'll offer you a devil's bargain.
Thank you.
I think
At least
Pierre
I have
is
some
trying to-
friends.
I
Maybe
will
Pierre
offer you-
from the grave can offer me a devil's bargain.
I will offer you a devil's bargain, and the devil's bargain is that
Pierre's offered me one in the
what?
chat from off the table, but I don't like it very much. So I'd like to hear yours.
That's happening now anyway.
That's what I thought.
One half of the right despises you. They already do.
They do.
More than one half, probably. So I will offer you the a devil's bargain. Basically, if you sorry, I'm just looking up the exact rules for them here, and for some reason my cheat sheet is playing around. Yeah. I will offer you the devil's bargain that if you want you can take an extra die if you want to risk offending or angering a faction.
Do you kind of know which faction it's going to be?
Nah.
Don't care.
Cool. So that so have you got Prowl 1?
No, I'm rolling wreck.
Oh, you're rolling wreck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you have
wreck
1
0.
die.
I have 1 die, and I rolled a 4.
You rolled a 4. Okay, well that's good.
Nice.
That is very nice. So yeah, you do it, but there is a consequence.
Doc is going to hate us.
Okay. So you're moving this crowd. Why don't you tell me how you use rec? There's shops all around. There's
But what I imagine going through is I'm imagining a kind of like start of Pirates of the Caribbean type scene where the pirates are going through whatever it is that stupid port is, and as the looters are kind of moving through, say throwing their Molotovs or throwing bricks, I'm just kind of like guiding that just away from me towards a shop. Like, someone runs at me and I'll go like, yeah, we'll smash in this window. Then I kind of like go to follow them down into the store, and then I'll just continue on my way. Or if they're beating someone up, I'll throw a punch at that person on, getting beaten up or looted. Just get in with it.
Sure, given that it is rec, I think you have to get involved. Like the whole thing. I'm
throwing punches.
That would definitely be sway rather than rec, I think. But
no, I'm just like joining in whatever thing I meet on the street. They're just kind of
You're breaking stuff and kind of inciting the crowd a bit,
but moving as I do it.
Yeah. So we'll say some windows get smashed, some stuff gets set on fire as you incite part of the crowd and move on.
Maybe even I find some gold.
Okay, there is a complication to this. It's gonna happen. It's gonna come later. So I've also given it a tick on Bill Hook's attention because I think you probably got the attention of people by doing that.
Cool. No worries.
So that's all good. But the good news is, by navigating through some streets ahead of you, you see the start of Salford Street, kind of where the road starts tilting upwards on these girders and going up into the air, and nearby on kind of I don't know the word for them, but where an old cobbled roadway would like slide down into the canal, as it were, to like just pull small vessels up and stuff like that, like a little quayside, a little, what I mean though.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called.
Slipway, yeah.
A slipway, yeah, sure. There's a little kind of cobbled slipway leading down into the canal, and you can see bricks and silver pulling the boat up into that. So here you are. You're all here.
Well, I'll try and step onto the boat without it coming to a stop, and we can continue. We're stopping here, aren't we? We're not. You guys are coming off.
Yeah, I think that's why they're getting out of the canal.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
Is this
What I see.
at like the foot of Saltford Street?
Correct.
Okay. 3 sheets. What a relief. Where's
No.
Echo?
Shrugs.
Oh, that seems rather worrying.
Yeah, she'll turn up. Probably.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
It sounds like that ghost rumors are not just rumors. Echo had to find a way to make herself scarce.
Well, I suppose we should continue on and try and look for her once we've got this man to the doctor's house.
Bricks, as you're kind of helping your cargo off, still kind of swathed. This individual, apparently important to the anarchist cause in Doskvol, coming off the vessel, still kind of swathed in kind of brown and red cloth and sort of shrouded around the face, so you never really got a good look at their features, and steps off. You also see the kind of relatively small figure of the young girl, like a teenage girl, dropping off the other side of your small barge and kind of like looking at you with eyes wide. She looks like she's going to say something, and then she starts dashing off.
I shrug. And move away, I guess. Can I put some kind of camouflage over the boat?
Yeah, I
Probably
think
not, but-
that's probably quite a good idea to do that.
Yeah.
What do you think you might roll to do that?
Sway?
If you want to talk the boat into being invisible,
No,
sure.
if we're trying to persuade people to think it's a different kind of boat,
What people?
the bill hooks.
Could
You can use sway if you want, but I will literally give it 0 effect because that's talking.
That's fair.
No, sway is swaying people. It could be with words or written things. It could be anything. Anyway.
I don't think that's necessarily in the spirit of it. That's like saying, "Oh, I'm to insult this person. I'm going to use wreck because I'm wrecking their reputation with my words." Like,
I think that's fair. I think that. I mean, consort.
But then why ever use anything but your highest stat?
No, I think sway could apply. You're trying to convince somebody of something. It's just not with words.
While you're not there.
Consort is clearly the verbal chatty skill. Sway
Consort
is just
like
changing opinions.
though. Sway is trying to win someone over. It's a moot point because I have no points in sway.
Because you're not going to use it.
I didn't imagine you'd actually sway.
Can I argue using hunt? Because I'm trying to look at it from the other, like in reverse of if someone were looking for this, if I were looking for this, what would I look for? Right, let's hide those things.
Yeah, I think that's kind of reasonable. I can think of better things, but you might not have them. But
the only other thing I can think of is wreck, and I don't really want to wreck my own boat.
Surely Tinker. Tinker is the obvious choice. Yeah, sure. Roll hunt then, and I'll give that. I'll just give that, risky and standard.
Although Pierre has made a very good point. If I start doing this on my own, I'm probably going to start making pointed comments about no one helping me.
Sure, you can do a group action. Yeah, you can do a group action. You want to do that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. So, well, it sounds like John is the leader for this group action.
Yeah.
And so everyone makes an action roll with Hunt, and the single best result is counted, and John takes 1 stress for everyone who rolled a 1, 2, or 3 as their best result.
If I have no points, do I still roll 2?
Yeah, you roll 2 dice and take the lower.
Okay.
6.
1. I rolled a 6 and a 1.
Sorry, so we're rolling hunts, yeah?
Yeah.
I rolled a 6 and a 5.
Okay, well, at least then that's only 1 stress for John. But yeah, 6. That's great. So yeah, you kind of have a look at the area and see where people would walk around and like what people might be looking for here. You take a look and see what some other boats pulled up nearby look like, and you just grab some nearby netting and an empty barrel or two and put it in it and just make it look like one of the other maybe semi-abandoned crappy boats hanging around the docks. How about that?
That's all right.
Sounds good. And you know what? From the success of that, folks, I am going to reduce the Bill Hook's attention by a tick.
Nice.
Nice one.
3 shoots has been neutral then.
So, Salford Street is ahead of you. How you've obviously got to walk up it, this huge archway over part of the docks. How are you going to find this house?
Gonna hunt for it, or
I think I'd be talking to our guy. Even I know he hasn't spoken at all to us so far, but
didn't I at the start?
Does he know where it is?
Didn't I at the start do some research on Salford Street and find that about the doctor in the house, or was that not?
You found that there is no doctor on Salford Street.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was thinking talking to the guy might be our only option, since I mean we don't have, as far as we know, there's no doctor here.
Can I ask for a point of clarification?
Mm-hmm.
As the figure is swathed in rags and stuff, do we actually have any idea what gender they...
No.
Okay.
And I believe Bricks shared some short words with them.
I don't think they responded to me, but I spoke to them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Regardless, if essentially we could role play a bit. If anyone asks this individual that you've transported here where the house is, they will just shrug.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Okay. Well, clearly you're not going to find it without going onto Salford Street, so I'm assuming you are proceeding up Salford Street. Are you doing it in any particular manner? There doesn't seem to be any rioting going on Salford Street. In fact, there doesn't seem to be anyone on Salford Street from what you can see. Admittedly, in the dull electric and gas light of Doskval.
It's worrying in and of itself.
Yeah.
Well, should we do it in a sneaky way? Should we prowl up?
You want to prowl?
I'm happy to try prowling.
Okay.
I'm less confident, but
I have no prowl, but
Well, I mean, do we want to? Do you want well, I'm not amazing at prowling, but we could prowl up ahead and see if there's anything. You guys can stay behind, and I could try and prowl up and see if I find anything.
You could do another group action if you wanted.
Could do. That sounds dangerous, especially because of all the stress. Wouldn't really want to do that.
Sure,
Yeah.
but I mean, if you've only got 1 prowl die.
I think you go up ahead makes some
All right,
some sense.
I'll go up ahead.
Sure.
Just if you hear any gunshots, maybe come after me, maybe not. I don't expect very much.
Sure.
meh.
So why don't you give me a prowl roll then? And it's going to be, it's going to be controlled, and it's going to be standard for the effect.
Any devil? Well,
I have no devil's bargain for you.
Nope.
3.
Okay. So let's say you falter, press on by seizing a risky opportunity, or withdraw and try a different approach. Okay, let's say this. So you're prowling up Salford Street, and let me describe Salford Street a little bit.
Please.
I think So it's, as I say, it's elevated on these metal supports over the rest of the docks. It's cramped. And it's noisy, not noisy from people because there don't seem to be any people around, but the sort of tumble down buildings on either side of the row are kind of creaking and shifting in the wind coming off the sea. There are several old, I think I described them maybe at the end last time, kind of old lightning pylons that are leant up against Saltford Street and that seem to be kind of either disused or partly disabled, but there's still some crackling electricity running between them and some of the tumble down buildings at the very top of the arch of the street. There is also a lot of long ropes and chains that are tied up that seem to be trying to kind of brace the whole edifice together. And for whatever reason, they've been covered in kind of lengths of cloth of various colors and qualities that are now kind of like fluttering desperately in the wind and in the crackling electricity. The whole thing has this smell of damp wood and decay cut across with the ozone from the electricity. So it's noisy, but it's also quite empty. And as you make your way up, you're kind of trying to stay to the shadows, and you see ahead of you that there is a building on your right-hand side, quite a large building, and maybe a little more expensive and good, like nice looking than some of the others. And unlike all the other windows you've passed, there is a light shining out of it. And the light is moving, as if someone is maybe moving with a powerful lantern or a torch of some kind. And it's occasionally kind of like shining out of the window and across the street. So if you want to remain, you have no idea who's inside, and it is definitely a thing which maybe you want to ignore, or maybe you want to maneuver around in some way.
Well, I'm not sure because I'm still not sure where we're supposed to be going. So I think I'll try and make my way to the end of the street past this light without bothering it. See if I can do a recce of the whole street, and then if there's
like
really
all
nothing,
the way across and then all the way back, or just to
Gotta
kind
be
of the peak of it to be able to look down the other side. If you see
sure,
what I mean.
yeah.
Okay. So if you are unconcerned, just so we know, just so you guys are aware, and to let you see what's going on here, I'm going to share my progress clocks again. So as you can see, the billhook's attention has increased then reduced. We have a 1 here for finding the house. Okay, and just by dint of being on the street now, I think we can safely get a tick. That is in fact a 6, even though that's a bit wonky. There is another clock down here. I'm not going to name it, and by walking past that house, you've just filled a segment.
Great. Loving
Just
it.
so
Love filling clocks. Big fan of filling clocks.
Love filling clocks.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go past that house and you get to kind of the peak of the street as it arches over the docks, and you look down kind of the other side, and yeah, there's the other side is much like this one. You don't see anyone on the street. It's just one long street, one long row of houses.
Then maybe I'll signal to Bricks and Silver to come and join me on the crest of the hill while kind of standing out of sight.
I'm not going to make you roll for it, but tell me how you signal. I'm just interested.
With a whistle.
With
With not any whistle, but with a whistle that's well known to the keepers, and it sounds sort of like a whistle that you might hear from the deck of a ship, from the man at watch signaling that all is clear.
Like a kind of sort of
thing.
Like,
a bit like that.
Yeah.
A bit like that,
Yeah.
but better.
But better. I thought yours was really good, Justin.
3 sheets, maybe a drunk and anything else, but he knows his way around a ship, and he knows his ship whistles.
Sure.
Knows his whistles.
Standard ship whistles. Knows
One thing you can say about 3 sheets.
So that anonymous 4-segment thing just went up another tick.
Fantastic. This is great, guys. It's good. It's good news.
Bricks, Silver, you hear 3 sheets whistling the all clear from the top of Salford Street.
Guess we'd better head up.
Yeah.
Okay. You walk up. You reach that same point where light is kind of like flashing intermittently out from the windows of a large house.
I think given that 3 sheets is signals to come up, I probably would think that this is not a concern. But I think I would probably walk in a way that if someone saw me, they wouldn't think like that person's trying to sneak by. But at the same time, I wouldn't walk directly through the light. Like I'd stick to the other side of the street and try and stay out of it. But
yeah, so you're not being sneaky, but you're kind of like fly casual.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Sure. Do we think that is a sway roll, folks? You tell me what kind of roll it is, though. So if you're making some kind of effort, I feel like giving you the chance to not increase this clock by another tick.
I'd certainly be
clock's
happy with the sway roll.
beneficial clock. The clock's a good clock. I'm sure of it.
I don't think that would be giving us chances to not ticket it by
He's
actions.
he's devious. He's devious. The clock is how close we are to finishing the mission successfully. That is what it represents.
Sure.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm sure that's right.
I'm gonna try and avoid this regardless. This light.
Sure. So what kind of roll do you want to make?
I mean, sway is good for me. I think sway.
I think sway, like putting across a sense of, yeah.
I live on Salford Street, maybe.
Sure. And you know what? I'd say this is controlled because you're not in any immediate danger or anything. And I'd say it's standard. Yeah, standard difficulty. Do you want to? Is Bricks gonna kind of help with this?
I don't have any points in it. Can I still help with it?
Yeah.
Then yes.
Sure. It'll cost you a stress, but
that's fine by me.
So Silver, then give a roll for sway with an extra die from Bricks. Unless anyone has a devil's bargain, which I do.
That would be 3d6 for me.
Nice.
Okay. I will roll. I got a 5, a 2, and a 1, so 5.
Okay. So you hesitate, withdraw and try a different approach, or else do it with a minor consequence. A minor complication occurs, you have reduced effect, you suffer lesser harm. You end up in a risky position. The weird thing is that sounds, if anything, worse than the description for risky for the equivalent, but there we go. Yeah, as you're walking across, you feel like the light from the window like move across you, and it feels purposeful, as if someone's shining a light out of the window to look in your direction.
Okay.
And you're kind of left blinking in the glare of it for a second. Yeah. And
could when this happens, could I stop and look in the window? Like,
yeah, sure.
Why are you shining a light on me? I'm just walking down the street.
You absolutely can. The window opens to a fairly large room in which there are no lights lit in the room, but there is a figure, quite a dark figure you can't really make out because they're beyond the light, and they're holding like a kind of an electric like lantern with the shutters clicked to send a very powerful beam of light forward, and they're holding that, and that they are looking directly out of the window at you.
I think I'd give them a disapproving look, like, and then just carry on walking past.
This is my home. What are you doing? Sort of, yeah, sure. Absolutely. In that case, so that action definitely risked 2 ticks, but just reduced effect. So it'll only take 1 tick, which means it has 1 tick remaining. Just so you know. Right, and I think now is the time to bring on our prodigal lurk, Echo. Oh God, done the thing. And Steve, so in sync that we're getting it all wrong. So Echo, you pull yourself from the frigid, shivering waters of the canal. You're not aware of very much right now other than how cold you are. But one thing you are aware of is you just heard a keeper's whistle up from what looks like Saltford Street ahead of you. And a quick glance around reveals that the keeper's boat is tucked away on one side of the slipway.
Mm. Okay. I think I would sort of crawl/limp my way to the boat and see if I can get out of the wet clothes and into something like that's not freezing cold.
Sure.
Because right now, like my hands are shivering incredibly. Like
absolutely,
just no use to anyone like this.
Well, I think what that is, my friend, is I think that's going to be someone's load, right? For an extra set of clothing or like backup gear or whatever it is like that. So
yeah,
I think so.
I mean, I guess I don't know if I took my fine shadow. I suppose I was wearing my fine shadow cloak. Coming up, I'm trying to see if I have any.
I don't know if you did. It depends whether you used it, right? Because load works by you declare the amount you have, and then.
So can I basically say that I stashed some, or is this somebody else's load that I need to take?
No, it can be yours. Yeah, it can be yours.
Okay, well, I kept some of my a spare set of clothes on my on the ship just for such an occasion. So that was my my cloak.
Yeah, so just mark off like one of your load is now that
yep.
That you got with you, and yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Yep. And I throw it on
what load everyone had, but
I had normal. And like I briefly feel better, but then I remember the whistle, and I'm like, wow, that is a good whistle. And
extra dice.
And I head towards it. I assume I see this area with the light, or do I see?
Yeah, as you're heading up, you can see kind of dark figures on the street, kind of ahead of you. Kind of not. I mean, you could yell at the top of your lungs and draw their attention, but they certainly look like your crew. And yes, you do absolutely see that light ahead of you. Let's talk a bit though before we start engaging with stuff. Echo, let's talk a bit about what's happened to you mechanically. So we had you gaining trauma, and what that means is when your stress tracker fills up all the way, you're removed from the story for a period of time. Your stress is reduced to 0, so that's good. But you've also gained a permanent trauma, which from my initial read through the book, I don't think can ever be removed.
Nope.
So there's a list of those you can have, and basically when you get to 4 trauma, your character is done. Whether they retire, they're incarcerated, they die, something like that happens to them. So Echo, what trauma do you now suffer from after your encounter with the ghost?
So I suffer from haunted, which I think is fairly appropriate, which basically means I have, I was actually thinking that, well, it basically means I sort of kind of lose it sometimes and kind of forget where I am or see hallucinations or and one of the things I was sort of thinking was my instinct is to avoid the light, and I'm walking towards this area, like about to sneak past it, and then I just sort of catch like a glimpse of like a face or of the ghost in like one of the windows, and I'm like briefly like distracted, and I just watch it, and I think I just walk through the light in like a just straightforwardly,
sure,
because I'm like, what was, and I lose it for a second.
Sure, absolutely. So you know, you don't have to role play trauma by intentionally failing stuff. But I'll happily accept it, because clearly people just want to see what happens when this clock gets filled. And it'll be really exciting but short campaign if we do that with every clock. I'm just saying.
don't do this with every clock.
It's a clock for like arrested and brutally murdered by inquisitors.
Like,
Get
man
it going. Yeah. So yeah, sure. You kind of stumble past the house, kind of temporarily blinded and kind of like spooked by some half-seen face. It's on the corner of your vision, and then carry on proceeding up the street. I'd say at this point, Bricks and Silver, you've probably made it to where Three Sheets is, but you can also probably hear kind of some wet, tromping footsteps coming up the street behind you. And if you look behind you, you can see Echo.
Hi.
You look like you took the hard route.
Yeah. Did you? I'll be fine. Did you see that? Some man in the window back there.
Yeah, he looks like a weirdo.
I suppose you could say it like that. Three Sheets. You're cool. You're all right. I have not been having a good day. Have we found the house?
No.
Just after, and Pierre, tell me if I'm if you'd consider this character agency or nice flavor impeding or nice flavor. Tell me to fuck off if you don't like this. But as you say, I've not had a good day. So can we have the image of Echo back up again? Yep. Steve, if that's not too much trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So Echo is kind of correct me if I'm wrong, Pierre, kind of very slender. Is she kind of tall or short?
She's I think she's kind of small as a person.
Small. And wears this scarf that's I think often around her mouth as well, but always kind of tucked around that neck, right?
Tucked around her neck
and wrapped up. And it's entirely up to the rest of the crew exactly how familiar they are with this, if it even happens, based on Pierre telling me to shut up.
No, I think it's good.
After you say you've not had a good day, a kind of creaky, whispering voice comes from, like a muffled one, but one that oddly doesn't sound like Echo herself, comes from Echo's face-ish. And just says, "So cold."
Yeah. Yes. Very cold.
Are you all right, Echo? Have you found some fresh clothes? It must have been very cold.
Yeah. As I say, so cold. And I adjust my thing a bit. Yeah, I did. I found the boat. Everything's going to be okay, though. Like, I'm okay. I'm still with it. We can still pull this off. Let's find this house.
Okay. And how are we going to find this house, do we think? I mean, I smell a group action coming up, but it's entirely up to you guys.
Well, we could
wreck.
Smash each house until you find out.
I mean, the other thing
Why
is
don't we
really-
hunt for the house? I'm happy. Three Sheets. If we have nothing else to go on, I'm happy to prowl through through the windows, or like look through the windows, look for any signs.
Well, I mean,
hunting.
I think hunt, survey, and study both seem apt.
I'm wondering
and by
if we could
both,
have-
I mean all. But yeah, whatever you guys want to do.
I also, not that it's massively important, but I gain extra effect when trying to locate a target. Because I'm a scout.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, is there any flashback that we could have that would improve this?
That's a very good idea.
Is there anything that we could have had just on hand to like really help with this, or is that I can't really think of anything very good? But
I mean, apart from Deckard literally just telling us where we're supposed to go, I can't really think of anything.
Yeah, or
I think we did ask Decker, and he sort of refused to tell us.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. So yeah, I'm happy to go for a group action, but I was just sort of wondering if there's any like.
I mean, group actions are so dangerous.
Yeah,
We could
yeah.
all I feel like we don't all share the same thing, so perhaps we could just each look for the house in our own, in whatever way we're good at. Don't know if that makes sense or not.
I mean, I think a group action is safer other than for that one person. Because if four separate people do actions and one person completely fails it, then everyone gets in trouble.
Sure,
Whereas-
but like if there's four people's worth of stress is a lot of dice to take. Probably like enough for a trauma for lots of us.
True.
So all we know about this guy is he was a doctor, right?
We don't know. We know
There was no doctor.
There was no doctor.
We just know there's
but
a
we were
house.
told that there is a house.
There's a doctor's house.
A doctor's
is
house.
what Decker said, or a house for. I believe his exact phrasing was a house for a doctor.
A house for a doctor. Which might be that the person that, like was supposed to translate.
Turn to the figure and say, "Are you a doctor?"
They nod in affirmation.
Okay.
Right. So are we looking for an empty house then?
Possibly.
That's not like any old house, any house that we could put this person in.
My sense is that many of these houses could be empty. There doesn't seem to be much. No light.
You do get the impression that if Decker just wanted an empty house, he would have said an empty house.
Well, maybe we do get that impression. Maybe we don't get that impression.
What about? I mean, the only other thought I had is like maybe if we're taking a doctor to a house, one assumes that there might be someone who is injured
Receiving
or
said
in some
doctor.
way hurt.
It's true.
Could maybe I'm just wondering if like we could have a flashback to try and like have scouted out who like a list of people who've been injured or something, or like I don't know. I can't really think of a plausible one, so I don't. Yeah.
I mean, Three Sheets did investigate to look for like a doctor that like.
Yeah, but
did
you were
some
looking for a
questioning.
doctor, right?
It was a very different like kind of question, but
Yeah,
it was a successful investigation. I don't know.
This is actually brings up an interesting point. What if you ask for a flashback that I know won't help?
Yeah, like, well, I guess the point
Then
is
you
that
change the story so it helps.
No,
I
I
think-
don't change the complete story based on one person saying,
So I think the thing is that we should only ever trigger a flashback for a thing where we know what the problem is. So
Yeah,
in
I
this
think
case,
that's valid.
Our problem is that our problem is actually that we don't know the nature of the house that we're trying to get this person to. So like I can't think of a good flashback that would tell us the nature of the house that we're looking for.
Should we just hunt then? Or
So
something
let's
like that?
yeah, let's just go for
Sure. So are we doing this as a group action, or are you doing it separately? Because I heard some dissent in the ranks.
I can't. Well, I mean, I could participate in a group action, but I can't lead. I'd rather do an independent action, to be honest. Like, I'm just gonna it's I can't take the I can't take the stress in game, not out of game of.
But you
a
wouldn't.
fail.
You wouldn't take stress if you weren't a leader.
I know, but I would like to be the leader so I can gain my extra effect.
Oh, okay. Is
it when
is
you're-
that how
when
that
you're
works?
the leader?
I don't know. It's probably managed that might be up to the game master. But like, it
suppose-
would make sense for Three Sheets to. I've got 2 in scout, 2 in hunt, and
No, everyone's rolling. I think it would apply whether or not you
Actually, one thing I was thinking is
Oh, yeah, +1 effect. That is kind of different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does that only apply to group actions?
No.
Okay.
I think I'd quite like to. I figured out an approach that I could have as
Okay.
as Echo. So
Well, it sounds like we're veering towards doing things separately then. So why don't we go around the group one by one and we talk about how people are looking for this house as you presumably split up to walk around the street a little bit. So first off, and I'll try and roll this without making a horrible clattering noise. So Sam, how is Silver trying to find this house? What role are you making?
I think I'm probably just walking fairly casually down whatever part of the street has been assigned to Silver, and just trying to look at look at these houses, see if there's any notable details about any of them, anything that stands out to me that would suggest this might be the house we're looking for. And I'd like to do a survey. Or
Yeah,
study,
I think that's a good choice. So all of these are going to be controlled because I don't see that you're under any kind of threat. So why don't you make me that roll, please, Sam?
I think I will also push myself for an extra dice.
Oh, yeah, we have forgotten the push, haven't we? So is it just, it's 2 stress, right? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, 2 stress to get an extra die or to increase your effect or take action when incapacitated, but hopefully it won't come to that.
Hopefully not. And that brings me up to 2d6. And I get a 4 and a 2.
Okay. So looking at our thing with the 4, yeah. So essentially, what happens is you realize for whatever reason the area of the street you've been given, it doesn't give you a lot to go on. There's a whole lot of sections of it that are just taking up with the huge kind of metal girders and struts, and all the houses look like much of a muchness. You can be fairly sure that none of there's nothing to mark out these houses. You peek through the windows; they just look like typical dockland hovels. So you're fairly sure that whatever you're looking for, it's probably not here, but really there's very little to go on. So what I gave to you there was a decreased effect, and there is a, I think I already showed this, but I'll show it again. There is a progress clock for finding the house, and essentially, if that would have been a 6, you would have got 2 ticks, but instead I'm reducing it to 1 tick for the 4-5. Straightforward. Right. And there we go. So let's check who's coming up next. We have Justin. Hunt away.
I would like to hunt, but I'm wondering if anyone wants to assist me in hunting so that I get a bonus die. They'll have to take a stress to do so.
Do I have to roll hunting?
No.
You will take a stress.
Yeah, I think I would assist you.
Cool.
Now, if this were a normal game, I would say you've already said you've all split up to go do stuff.
Sure.
But I guess with Blades in the Dark being Blades in the Dark.
Yeah, I think.
Well, all I wanted to do was not have a big group action where I was taking loads of stress.
Oh, yeah, that might be what you wanted, but everyone described it moving apart. So if we're happy with it, we're happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bothered by it, but yeah.
I don't remember 3 sheets describing that they were moving off, but
no, but
yeah.
Fine.
So, do we want to roll for that, or
go for it? Roll.
Yeah. So I got 2 3s and a 4.
Okay. So describe to me what you're doing.
We're hunting. We're looking through, avoiding the house with the light. We're looking through, shuttered windows, peeking around, looking for signs of inhabitants or signs of the house being entered recently. Looking for clues that could indicate this is the house that we're supposed to be looking for, like a note or a message or a sign.
Yeah. So normally I would have given you kind of standard effect there, but you get increased effect from your scout effect, I believe. So I'll just do the same reduction that I did for Sam for it being a 4 or 5, which means you get 2 ticks on the clock instead of 1, instead of 3, sorry, which is what you would have got with a 6. And again, you don't find you're finding a lot of like Sam did, you're finding a lot of very similar houses, and you're basically coming to the conclusion that if there's something here that you're looking for in houses, clearly it will stand out quite sharply. Other than if Decker wants you to literally pick just a randomly empty house, then clearly there's going to be something that stands out. But whatever it is, you have not found it in the area you're looking. Why don't we? So the concession I'll make to to Echo helping with that is we'll go to Bricks first, and then we'll go to Echo.
Okay.
What's Bricks doing to look around?
I'm going to go for Hunt, and I think my attack. I've forgotten where Decker and presumably this person are from, because they're not Duskwall natives.
You don't know where this person is from. Decker is, and let me bring up my sheet so I read it out properly, is Severosi, who are kind of semi-nomadic people from another kind of continent, island continent, entirely.
I'm going to assume that this house would be marked out in some way.
Okay.
And as the figure is wearing red and brown, I will guess I will be sort of looking for something with a red and brown mark, flag, decoration, in case that's the sign of a medic in whatever weird foreign place this person is from.
Sure. So what are you rolling?
I'm rolling Hunt.
Okay, yeah. So that's going to be standard effect and all the rest.
That's just a 3.
Just a 3. In that case, okay, let's do something fun with this. So, Bricks, you are kind of walking down your section of the bridge. Is it safe to say that Bricks finds this kind of activity quite humdrum?
Boring, yes.
Boring, yeah. It doesn't involve your fists. And as you're doing so, maybe what would Bricks do if bored? Whistle, maybe, or kind of hum to himself? Kind of what kind of thing that would be inappropriate for this to do right now?
Start breaking things.
He would be like kicking rocks around, but not in like a nonchalant kick it a bit of a way. He would be like digging his foot into anything kickable he could find, depending on how bored he is.
Sure.
It's like a large stone, just thunk.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to say, like in keeping with your name, half a brick goes rattling down Saltford Street, kind of to a great and noisy distance, to the point where the rest of the crew probably hear this happening. And as you kind of watch it go, you become sort of aware of movement to your right-hand side near the house.
Near the house with light.
The house.
No, you're not. You are in fact. Let's say you're kind of near that, but you're not in the light or anything.
But you said near the house, which is the house?
The house that I'm outside.
Which house you're outside?
Yeah.
Right.
Movement.
I don't think Brick would particularly care.
Great.
What kind of movement was it?
It was the movement of a person for sure.
Okay.
And it was kind of basically these houses don't have alleyways or anything between them, but there's like a deep alcove, and there's kind of movement within that.
Right. Huh. Maybe it's just a cat. Maybe it's
Surely
a cat.
Brick would ask a question. There's a local who can offer advice. Most straightforward way. Solving any problem.
I not whisper, but in my usual gruff stage whisper, go, "Oi, oi."
There's a momentary pause after that, and then shutters are pulled aside, and a very bright light shines right in your face, and you're roughly aware of a figure holding it kind of halfway up this alcove. There's sort of a little ledge that looks to be a good place to maybe clamber up to rooftops. And there's a figure kind of squatted on it. The light is quite quickly like pivoted away from your face, so you can see them more clearly. They're all over wearing a kind of grayish black netting covered almost silken outfit that clings very closely to them. They have a hood pulled up, and under the hood is more of that kind of layers and layers of mesh and net, so you can't see their face at all. It's just kind of almost like a blank mask of material, and a woman's voice speaks out from under it and says, "Evening, old sport.
Do you mind?
I mind a little bit. What are you clodhoppers doing around what we're doing, eh?"
Well, what are you doing?
Around what we're doing.
It's only polite to answer me first, since I asked. The light kind of like flashes across your face once more.
We're trying to find a house.
What kind of house? What's in
Dunno.
the house?
If I knew that, I wouldn't be looking for it.
You're one of them keepers, aren't you?
That a problem?
I think we should make a roll. What do you think?
I'm
Wreck.
fine with a
How
roll.
are you going to try and diffuse this situation?
Are you going to try and diffuse the situation?
Oh yeah, true.
Diffuse it by killing them.
Throw a brick through their head.
What I ultimately want to do is a command roll. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm actually saying to back it up.
Sure. I think
Get
just
that light.
speaking firmly, like
Yeah.
you can just speak firmly to them, like,
Keep to yourself.
none of your
or-
business. Fuck off. We're not fucking with you now. Piss off.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. It's up to you.
Like command them.
Basically, we're not here to mess you around. You're not here to mess us around, presumably. So why don't we just go in opposite directions? Maybe whatever.
Nobody gets hurt.
Nobody gets hurt. That's always implied at the end of every single one of
Sure.
Brick's sentences.
Briggs is meanwhile clenching both
Yeah.
his fists. Just being like,
Brick's like, "Do you want a cup of tea?" And maybe no one gets hurt.
Yeah. So I think this is just risking standard. I think it's a standard roll. So go ahead. Do you want to push yourself? Has anyone got a devil's bargain?
oh man.
I don't think anyone. I think as I've described it, no one assisted you on the roll, so no one's nearby to assist you.
I don't know. What about no? Hmm. So wait, were there two people or just one? Just the one.
Well, you've seen this one, but this is and it's. You know what I'm going to say? It's nearby I think I said it's quite nearby the other house with the light, and that light is still shining outside. So unless the person in that house has been replaced by an automatic lamp shiner, there are at least two of them. Pardon me.
No, I can't think of anything.
We don't have to offer. You don't have to scrape your brain to think of one. I think they're best used somewhat sparingly.
When you can think of a good one.
Yeah, when you think of a good one. I haven't got one.
I don't think I want to push this.
Sure.
Mostly because I don't think Bricks is trying desperately hard for this to work.
Sure.
Brick's fine with the results of the
Oh.
fight. Or
5. Well, 5 and a 1, so a 5.
Sure. I think that's fine. So yeah, let's go with this. This is fun. So the figure kind of holds one hand up and kind of as if to hold both hands up, like hey, but one hand is holding the lamp, so it just like flashes and glares in your eyes for a little bit too long, and you kind of have to blink it away. And they say, "No bother, old sport. Just asking. Next time, just try to stay away from the wraiths when they're about their business, all right? No harm, no foul."
Well, I'd love to if you'd have told me you were there.
She leaps up and kind of scrambles in what she looks like she's falling upwards, kind of scrambling roughly at the side, and then disappears over the top of the rooftops. Can you give yourself a level 1 harm And it's up to you. Like I was gonna say, like some of the glare has kind of like damaged your night. I don't know. But would that be
Yeah.
realistic? I think you can be like take eye damage from
Yeah,
light.
you've got like spots.
Yeah, sort of thing like that. Either that, or you can choose either that, or you stumble a bit, like turning round on maybe ironically on the other half of the brick you kicked, and twist your ankle slightly. It's up to you. Take whichever one of them you want.
Can I resist this harm?
Yes, you absolutely can. So that would very obviously be a prowess resist roll. So why don't you roll your prowess for me?
Okay, so I'm rolling 3 dice. No, I'm rolling 2 dice because that's how this works.
Like you have 2 stats in prowess. Is that the thing?
And I roll a 4 and a 1. I've forgotten how
Okay.
resistance works.
So resistance works. So the best die you roll, basically you start from a standpoint of like it's a reverse amount of stress you take. So if you've rolled 4, you take 2 stress from resisting. But resist rolls always succeed. So you have to reduce the effect of it. And I'll say reduce the effect of a level 1 harm is just, you kind of blink away the spots and they're gone.
All right. But I what, sorry?
Take 2 stress.
Cool.
Yeah. Is everyone clear on how those resist rolls work?
Yeah. Yep. And also, if you roll a 6, you get to restore 1 stress, I think, or something. There's like a good one.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's also worth noting that it doesn't have to be like physical stuff. Like literally any negative consequence from one of your rolls can be resisted.
But that doesn't include like taking stress for like. Does it include stress for like group actions and things, or?
No. Like actual consequences from a roll. So like not. I get what you mean, but it's not. No, not.
I'm just curious.
stress.
Like I'm not really sure how it works yet.
No, you can't. You couldn't. Yeah. So basically, whenever you do a roll, if it's like anything other than a 6, basically you're going to get some consequences, whether that be like harm or situational things or putting in a worse position. And if you want to mitigate that, which occasionally means getting rid of it entirely, then you can elect to take a resistance roll. Yeah.
Cool.
That includes even when it's not like when the consequence is like a situational one.
Yeah, literally anything that is a consequence can be mitigated with a resistance roll. So, for example, what I did to you by reducing your effect for the 4 or 5, you could resist that, and then your effect would be increased, but you would take an amount of stress, depending on what you rolled on your resistance roll.
Makes sense.
So it's handy, but with the potential of huge amounts of stress.
Potentially huge amounts of stress, yeah.
Right.
Because obviously if you roll a 1, you take 5 stress.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So yeah.
Pierre,
if you roll a 6, you lose a stress. So
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah. Is it if you roll a 6 or if you get a critical, which is 2 6s? Let's have a look. Well, while we're talking about it, we might as well.
I'm trying to think of what I'm doing.
Yeah,
next.
it's the critical. So if you roll a 6, you just take no stress. But if you roll a critical, you reduce your stress.
So you roll 2 6s.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Echo, what are you doing, friend?
I'm assuming that the various like alleyways are dark, and so are like the interiors of the houses.
Correct.
Which is making this harder.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I remembered to bring my dark sight mask,
Nice.
which enables me to see in pitch black. So it's like, so I imagine it's kind of it's actually vaguely more ornate than you might think. It looks, maybe kind of masqueradey, but so it
does that have any I keep asking these things with the obviously complete lack of awareness of how Blades of Dark work, because I guess it doesn't have like an actual mechanical effect, right? It just
no, I mean,
dark sight goggles.
Yeah. If you think that these are effective at improving my thing, it might increase the effect, I guess. Or
that would be my gut as well, to increase the effect. So absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll increase the effects of what stat are you rolling?
So, Well, the thing I was sort of thinking about was trying to look at this from the perspective of somebody burglarizing these various establishments.
Burglarating them. Yeah.
Yeah, as a way of like maybe evaluating whether they are like good marks, but also just being like, okay, so right, so you've got to bear in mind what's unusual about these houses or the alleyways that nearby.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any that like stand out as being particularly
Sure.
breakable or
So
valuable?
what are you rolling?
I was thinking it's either survey or prowl, and probably survey is the one that like makes more sense.
I think that's the one that sounds like it matches what you're doing.
It feels like I'm surveying, so
that's
I'm going to
be controlled, and the effect is potentially great because of the dark side goggles you've got. Have you knocked your off on your load? So you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
is that all your load gone? Oh no, you were normal, so that's 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I had the arcane implements, which is 1. Yeah, so I'm on 3. I'm going to
say, however, I mean, do we think that hypothermia would get in the way of a careful and controlled scanning of an area? I mean, I think it probably would. I wouldn't like to do that with hypothermia.
I would like my gut would be it would make me less stealthy while doing this thing, as opposed to it would make me less. I don't know, but I'm happy either way.
What do other people think?
I think it makes sense. You're probably not able to have this. Willing to walk as far or walk as quickly. You probably cover less ground.
Have to keep
Harder to concentrate.
I think so.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so that's a reduction of 1 die. Do you want to push yourself or anything to take?
Well, in order to get any die at all, I would need to push myself. So I will. Or unless anyone has any devil's bargains for me. But
I don't have one.
Okay. I will push myself, gaining 2 stress. And that way I'm rolling 1 die. Wait, so is the hypothermia... Oh, yeah, because it is -1 because it's a medium harm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm now rolling 1 die. Let us hope. I got a 3.
Okay. In that case, yeah, so what you... Yeah, well, that's not good. So what essentially happens there is, much like the others, you're kind of wandering around, not really knowing what you're looking for or where you're looking. And honestly, let's just say... and
I'm cold as hell.
You are cold as hell. Let's just say, yeah. So as you're wandering around, you've got these kind of... what are they called? Dark sight goggles? Dark sight mask?
Yeah, it says dark sight mask on my equipment list.
As you're wandering around, you know when you're ill and like your vision kind of telescopes or goes odd, like your perceptions go in and out a bit. Basically, you suffer a few moments of that and find yourself basically stumbling around in the semi-dark of the street, kind of like leaning on walls and trying to get your bearings again as kind of everything goes a bit dizzy. And in fact, you even find yourself kind of having to kind of hunch up against the wall a bit and desperately try and get sort of some circulation going back in your chest again. The thin, reedy voice from under your scarf says, "You made us so cold."
Yep, yeah, jeez.
You're on mute, by the way.
Shh, quiet now. Is what I say.
No problem.
We'll be warm again.
You stand up to go about your business again, but you're too dizzy. You're too exhausted to stand up so sharply. You take 1 step forward and half tumble to the ground. Can you give yourself a level 1 harm of twisted ankle?
I'm going to attempt to resist that.
Go for it. The resist is... You know what? I'd say actually it's your choice, because we could say it's physical, we could say it's prowess, but I could also see it being resolve in that you... God, focus, focus yourself. So it's your choice of prowess or resolve.
I think I'd prefer prowess.
I think it makes a lot more sense.
So I have 3 different prowess stats, so that means I'm rolling 3 dice.
You've got 3 prowess. That's good.
Yep. So I got 2, 6, 5. So my highest result was a 6. So
that's no stress, and you do not. Yeah, you get your control of yourself
catch
before.
myself.
Before that ankle turns and kind of shake your head and be more about your business.
Pay attention, Echo.
So I guess what we could do is we could move around the group. And go round again, maybe people taking different tacks, or we could have the crew meet up and come up with a different plan, like a group role or something different. It's up to you guys. What do you think you do after all your initial investigations have not yet? You feel like you're making progress. You somehow know about the existence of a progress clock, but you don't. You haven't found what you're looking for yet.
I mean. Yeah, 3 Sheets is getting close to wanting to bail. Like 3 Sheets, like we haven't found the place. There's a weird searching light. Don't like that. I'm very hungover. We could just shoot this person and pretend that it all went south.
Bricks kind of feels like we now have a certain amount of face to keep in front of the wraiths, because we just sort of wander in and then piss off. Then. We've embarrassed ourselves now.
Sure.
Yeah.
And for no good reason. We never embarrass ourselves without a good reason.
Well, you might.
Fair.
Yeah.
So I think we meet up. I'm going to meet up.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'd head back to meet up.
Okay. So the 4 of you gather, presumably back at the top, like, arch of the street. Incidentally, was your cargo with any of you, or did you just leave them here?
I think...
I'd be happy for him to come with me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Do you guys see anything?
Sort of. Well.
Shit.
Nah.
Okay.
Not the only ones here.
Perhaps we could get some sort of vantage point, maybe. Some better look upon the streets from above. I think I like to look back up, and I'm like, ordinarily I would relish the thought of climbing up a building, but I'm
that bad luck with rooftops tonight. Yeah.
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 I am also going like, can I have a flashback to that time that I spoke to our cargo and he told us exactly
the cargo has not talked. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you can think another way around it, and for whatever what are you going for?
Like having I don't know, looking into the concept of doctors in this area and like anything related to like where doctors might have.
We have had a roll already on whether there are doctors in this area, and that produced.
Well, we've had a roll of whether there are doctors. Okay, so
sure.
Okay.
But the thing, I think you do need something, not just like a general, like what is the concept of doctors on this street? Because it's like, can we think of how you do that possibly?
I mean, like, you know, I don't know what the level of like magic or that sort of thing is available, because I can be like, oh, we have an egg that if you crack it, it runs towards the direction that like.
But that's not a flashback. That's just giving yourself a magical item that solves the story for you.
And we tried hunt. We've tried survey.
Mm-hmm.
What else have we tried?
I mean, you can if you pick a different tack on it, you can. I mean, you can just make a roll again. Like I think Pierre's idea of like getting to the rooftops and seeing if a different vantage provides different information could be a good one. Especially if it was a different tack, like you choose to do that like as a group, like you all go up and have a peer around or something. I don't know. Could work. Yeah.
I
mean, anything could work because there's no one way to fix this because I just have a clock and you need to take enough things. Or you can bail.
Perhaps it doesn't make sense to do this out, but could I have a flashback and tell me if this would not make any difference? A flashback to, rather than think about doctors, just kind of consorting or befriending, heading to some known anarchist bar, getting drunk with a bunch of anarchists and mentioning, like bringing up Saltford Street and seeing if they have any reaction, or trying to get some information out of anarchists here if
Sure,
there's been any anarchist activity.
That's a different tack, and it would be good. I would say, however, and obviously this is one of the areas where I actually kind of want to post on the subreddit and see what people think. But I am actually quite unsure exactly what effect flashback's meant to have, because the book doesn't really say, and I'm assuming again it's kind of mainly an effect on effect. Because I don't think it's meant to give you more dice or anything like that. But I think absolutely, if you want to do a flashback, and you know what, you don't even have to tell me exactly what, but if you were talking to some anarchists in a bar and kind of trying to find out more about them or something, maybe not even related to this, right? You were just, for whatever reason, drinking in a bar with some anarchists.
Yeah.
Then I am happy to use that if you want to take the stress from that, and that'll be a 1 stressor. It's like 1 to 2 stress for a flashback.
0 to 2 stress.
0 to 2. I think this is a 1 because it's
can I go up? I
yeah,
think up 2 if you really want it to.
Yeah, I think it's a 1. I think most of them will end up being 1.
I think
personally, but I'm open to
the rule was if there's a roll, it's a 1. If there's a complex roll, it's a 2. And if it's just like I want to place,
I want to have this thing or whatever, then it's a 0. So take 1 stress, and I won't say you're going to increase the effect of a roll you make.
Okay.
Whatever that roll might be, this roll might be to find 1. But are we interested in Echo's argument to kind of get a higher vantage point and have a look around?
Yeah. I mean,
If I want to do it.
If one of the things is we could do sort of like that group action and use whatever information comes from a flashback to make it so that the effect of a success would be great or high or whatever the next one is.
Yeah, great is like the top one. So yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely fine by me.
Okay. So
do we want to do that? Are we doing a group action? It's worth knowing, Justin, if you don't want to participate in a group action, that just like the other 3 can do the group action.
Well, yeah, I can be in the group action, but I just don't want to lead the group action.
Yeah. But it sounds like Echo is to me.
I will lead this group action.
So if you're clambering up and trying to... These tumble-down houses are very easy to clamber to the top of and kind of have a look around. What are you rolling in order to do that? And is it kind of a situation where all 4 of you are up there kind of peering around, or...
Prowl, I think, and I'll sort of like lower, like I'll. Will I bring climbing gear? I suppose I do have light climbing gear.
Didn't you already bring climbing gear for going over the rooftops before?
Well, I did now, so I'll use my climbing gear to assist the other people up to the roof.
Sure.
Why bring climbing gear over light climbing gear?
Because the lurk has a special type of climbing gear that's nice and light. It's one of those.
But why not? I thought you said you were bringing regular rather than that light climbing gear.
It's a technical term. It's the type of climbing gear that the lurk has, specially available for them. That
was your bringing,
which is what I brought as climbing gear. Thankfully enough, for such an occasion.
Sure. Well then, with the assistance of that climbing gear, because I was going to tempted to kind of lower the tick of the effect a bit for Prowl, but I think with the climbing gear, everyone getting up in good time and having a look around, I think that's going to be good. So we're going to do a controlled roll, and the effect is going to be at least great because of flashback and like the climbing gear and various other things. So if everyone can give a Prowl roll, and we're going to say that the nature of this Prowl thing, I guess, is that like rolling Prowl rather than survey is like you can get really high. So I'm imagining do you think you might be up on those girders, like some of the like struts and girders holding? You remember under like the chains and the ropes with the dangling, flapping cloths, and maybe you're kind of half kind of peering around, taking a look, arcs of crackling electricity in the air. Sort of just feet above your head. Sounds like a good time.
It's a good.
It'd be a great time for everyone to just roll ones.
This whole thing. I as much as I would like to help with rolling across, I really don't think 3 Sheets is going to want to do that, being horribly hungover. Because I just don't see. 3 Sheets has been like, I'll give you a boost up, but I am not going.
Would it be better? Just in general, I'm happy also to do it on survey. Would it be better for people to do it on survey?
It would for me.
It makes no difference to me,
Okay.
but
Doesn't make any difference.
Bricks doesn't actually particularly like heights, so he might not go up that high.
Okay. And 3 sheets does make no difference.
I mean, I think I really do think 3 sheets would be like, I don't really want to climb anywhere high. I'm feeling horribly sick. I just want to stay here with some guns, and if anyone's on the floor, everyone comes running, and I'll shoot them.
So I guess it's just me and Silver. In which case, let's use survey then, because I assume that improves the thing.
I mean, Bricks can still roll.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because if you have 0, you roll 2 and take the lowest.
But does that help us?
It's more dice.
Yeah.
I suppose.
It's up to
It's
you.
more chances to get to
Slightly.
6, right? Like that's the thing that you're aiming for. A really precise roll.
Is it more chances to get? I guess it is, and it's still more chance than not rolling at all to get 6. Yeah,
That's true.
So that's the 3 of you, and you're rolling survey. In which case, I guess you're not clambering up as high as possible and clinging for your very life onto girders and stuff. So that description I did just fucking wasted. Thanks, lads. Instead, you're just on top of a tumble down building and like carefully looking over the street. So why doesn't everyone? The 3 of you do the survey roll.
Okay. I got a 2, which is bad.
I got a 5.
Oh, my lowest was a 3.
Okay.
Okay.
My other was a
Justin?
6.
So first off, that means that Echo takes 2 stress for those 2 low results, but Sam got a 5. And you know what? I'm going to use your. This is a bit of a cheat. I'm going to, for your consequence, I'm going to knock your effect down by 1, which still fills the progress clock. So
Well, that's convenient.
there we go. So yeah, and I'm going to say, that consequence. The consequence is it's very dark and it's very difficult to get any kind of sense of things. But as you're peering around, Silver, you're kind of now bored and starting to feel like 3 sheets seems to be, and Bricks does slightly, that maybe this is just a wild goose chase and you'd be better off bailing. One of the arcs of electricity from the semi-disused lightning pylons above flares, and as it does so, on a house almost opposite you, on the roof of it, you see what looks like some kind of makeshift, partially fallen apart shrine to some unknown god or other. And that shrine seems to have some images of some kind of animal or beast that you don't recognize. It has horns and a kind of bulky body. And you remember suddenly, weeks ago, when you were in that bar with that bunch of anarchists, you think you were there maybe to sweet talk Decker and he never showed that night. But one of them was just fiddling in their hands with that, like a little carven image of that animal. Not only were they an anarchist, they were Severosi as well.
Okay. I will point this out to Echo and Bricks. I think that must be our house. I've seen that symbol before in the hands of an anarchist.
Well, that's the best lead we've got.
Exactly. Let's go down and take a look.
Indeed.
So the building itself, the building looks a little more robust than the others on this street. It's made of cut stone blocks with kind of ironworks pinning it together around it. How are we going to take a look here? John, you were going to say something.
I was going to say, can we get down now?
Yeah, you can indeed get down now.
I've already removed the rope. I've gone on there. You're stuck up there.
Stuck there. Yeah. So how are we gonna it's got windows and
is there a
no curtains are drawn. Sorry, what were you saying? Sorry, Pierre.
I was just going to say, is there a route across the rooftops?
No, it's on the opposite side of Salford Street from you. So going down and checking out for below. At least initially, you can always climb up.
Yeah, no. Let's Let's go
Peeking?
around.
Anyone peeking in the windows or anything like
Yeah,
that?
I'm gonna try and peer through the windows.
Sure. Well, no roll required, I don't think. You can see in there from like the occasional flare of lightning, which even from up here, by the way, you can hear those kind of cracks are punctuated by gunfire and cries still coming from the docks below. Inside, you see a kind of a room laid out with very kind of Spartan austerity, kind of a single wooden chair and a single wooden table, and on that wooden table, bricks. Even you're not, a learned individual, but on the other hand, you have been patched up plenty of times, and on that table are things like a pile of bandages, some forceps, a rather ugly-looking sawing knife.
Mm.
This could well be a house for a doctor.
I give the rest of the group the nod. And try the front door,
Front door is open.
optimistically.
The front doors are open. Goodness me.
Nice.
Should have just opened all the doors in the street. That would have been
Sure.
Yeah, just rattling on each handle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go on in and start checking that there's no one else in there.
Absolutely. After the briefest of walks around the house, you can determine that it is empty, apart from very rudimentary furniture, more medical gear, and a stocked cupboard of food.
All right then.
Looks like we've
I-
found our house.
Nice.
The shrouded individual who you've brought here nods and kind of walks around the house peeking, and then stands in the corridor, kind of the entrance corridor with the door, and just kind of gestures towards the door.
Charming.
We'll
Well,
be going.
pass on our regards to your clients.
As you're leaving, the figure gives you a kind of very slight inclined bow, and then you hear the door close and lock.
Okay. We need to
Now-
collect our bounty.
Yes. I don't want to make a big sequence out of getting out of the barricade, but what I would like is either you can roll separately if you want, or do a group action to establish how well you get out, because there is one clock that could still be ticked before you leave. So what are we thinking? Do we want to do a group action for this, given that we're about to end
Sure.
the score? Does anyone think they have room for that stress, that they could safely lead you out with a group action?
I am not leading this group action.
Does anyone not have significant stress?
Like, I'm on 5 stress, which I assume is pretty high for people.
You could
I'm on-
technically get another trauma if everyone rolls
Yeah.
a failure.
I'm on 6.
Yep.
I'm on
on-
6.
I'm only on 4, although I don't know what group action would be appropriate.
Let's go.
Well, the maximum stress can take us 4.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so you could definitely do it without trauma. You could. If you wanted to play to your strengths, then sway or consort is fine. Anyone accosts you, you just like, we've got the papers. Just that.
which we do
Yeah,
have,
I guess.
at least back on the boat.
Oh, you are. I'm assuming you've gone down the street and you're back on the boat now, and like.
Oh,
trying
this is
to,
how we're getting past.
yeah. You're just trying to get out, right? And I'm assuming you're taking your boat with you rather than walking through the riots. So
Yeah.
Sway sounds
that's
good.
just my assumption.
I have a little bit of sway.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'll
Sway
happily
roll.
do that then.
Cool. All right then, everyone, just
Thanks
roll
for
sway, and let's see what happens. And I think this is a standard roll, so we'll see.
Ooh, 4.
4.
I got a 6.
1.
So, but just one stress for silver. That's not too bad, right?
Not too bad.
But you got a 6, which means that's a success. Which means this clock is not ticked. So
we
just leave it there.
lose.
Yeah, your journey out of the docks is pretty fluid, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You go back the way you came. You notice, from what you can see, there's a lot fewer people on the streets now, and the ones that remain are either being extremely violent or having extremely violent things done to them. You can even, as you pass, you see a couple of figures kind of come to the edge of the canal side and dump something heavy and human-sized into the waters and then walk away. When you get to the blue coats again, you are very, very briefly accosted by one of them on the side.
Is
But
it the same guy?
you just kind of wave your papers, and he's kind of waves you back, clearly having a much more complicated night than whether you have papers. And you're out.
We're clearly just traders.
You're out. You're back to Silkshore, back to your lair. So there we go. That's the score.
As we pass the streets to the docks with the remains of the riots going on, Brix looks slightly wistfully at the after effects. I was going, it was like a good riot.
The night is still young.
Yeah. It's already over, isn't it?
Could have been a beautiful night.
Thick boots, thick clothes.
All right.
Can't feel the grazers.
Well,
Perfect.
we will do our downtime phase now. Now, this downtime phase could definitely run, like, technically we're on for another 25 minutes. Like, I don't know if the guys can do maybe a little bit more. It depends how quickly this goes. We'll see. This is our first time doing a downtime phase. Let's see how it gets. So first off, there's a couple of very mechanical things to do, and then we go to downtime activities, which is kind of the main chunk of it, I think, and where most of the role play opportunities sit. So the first thing that happens is your payoff. So John, you have control of the Keeper's crew sheet, correct?
Correct.
So what I want you to do, each score earns 2 rep by default. And then there's a bunch of modifiers that could give you extra rep. You have not triggered any of them.
Sad face.
So it is 2 rep. Then you earn coin based on the nature of the operation and or any loot you seized. So it's kind of like a mix of like opportunities you had. It's just a pitch, guess from me essentially. And I'm going to say that this, and I think it took a while, but I would say it was a small job. You were smuggling one person on behalf of a small anarchist group. So I think that's 4 coin that you've been paid by Decker in total for this. Now, before you record 4 coin, there is another factor, and that factor is that the district you operate in has a crime boss, and that crime boss has permitted you to work in that area. And I believe for that, what is the name of the faction who you leased your Grinders? Is it the Grinders?
I think
it is the Grinders. Yes, which you start out with. You made sure you started out with 0 in by paying them a coin for the privilege.
Yes.
Kind of zero status with them. So the Grinders, a group of let's have a look at them just to add a bit of flavor to this. He said, madly clicking around the sheet. Are they in this? Yes. So yeah, they are. I'll get there. I will get there. It will happen. They're a vicious gang of former dockers and Leviathan blood refinery workers from Scovlan. So yeah, a kind of dispossessed group who've worked for horrible jobs for little to no money, who decided there's probably a lot more money if we start running this town. So yeah, the boss of the Grinders is the boss of the area. He might even have a name in the book, probably does in fact. Hutton is the name of the leader of the Grinders. He is the crime boss of the area you operate in the Docklands, and he needs his cut. And the cut you give a crime boss after every score, if you want to pay them, is your tier +1. Now, I believe you start at tier 0.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay on Hutton's good side, you will give him 1 coin from your 4 coin. You absolutely don't need to pay him. That is an option. However, obviously, there will be consequences for that. Precisely what they are, I won't say, but I'll tell you this. It'll start a progress clock.
Well, you know how we feel about those.
Yeah, all progress clocks are good progress clocks.
The question is, how do we make it go faster?
Yes.
We have 4 coin. We earned it.
Another word for progress clock is a new adventure.
Look,
Uh,
soon we'll
But I'm in
replace the
favour of
grinders.
paying this crime boss.
I am
Ugh,
also in
sheep.
favour of paying him.
Yeah,
Am I outvoted here?
Yeah.
we're still small time. We gotta
All
pay
right.
our dues.
The
But
grinders
we-
are significantly more powerful than you are.
We're not
What?
gonna keep
Shock
doing this
horror?
We're not going to keep doing this forever, though. Remember, we're not in this for the small payouts. We're in this
Sure.
go big or go
We're
home.
in this to restore our lighthouse to an operational business.
And
What?
go clean. Yeah.
I just did like
Yeah,
a
to go
really
clean.
strange look to Free.
Only
to
3
that
more
point.
jobs and we can
Yeah.
retire with our lighthouse.
So you gain 3 coin from that. Now that can go in your cruise coin, or it can be distributed among you. Obviously, with it being 3, that's slightly more awkward than if it was 4. It's up to you guys how you store that.
I'm going to shoot Echo in the head and take 3. Take a coin.
Well, better hope you're quick, because I'm pretty quick.
Fair enough. Going to get bricks to kill Echo.
I'm assuming.
No, you're not.
I'm assuming that's just going in the crew.
Yeah.
The cruise.
Yeah.
Things there.
Sure. So the next thing to cover is heat. And basically you acquire between 0 and 6 heat according to the nature of the score, an additional heat according to modifiers. None of the modifiers apply, and I would say that you have created 2 heat from this, because it isn't like you flew completely under the radar. You did talk to a blue coat. You were maybe, you don't know how seen you were by the bill hooks in the end, and you encountered another crew going about their business. So I'd
They
say
called the Wraith.
Appreciate actively
Yeah.
participated in the riot as well.
yes, there is that as well. Yeah. So I would say it isn't 0 exposure, and the next tier up is 2. So 2 heat, please.
Okay.
It doesn't well. It matters mildly. Essentially, when that tracker is full, that heat tracker is when you get wanted levels, and that's bad. Could be bad. So the next thing we're going to do is entanglements. So this is kind of a fairly role play thing, and essentially there's a number of entanglement tables to roll on, and I am the lovely bastard who makes the roll. It depends on your heat as to which table I roll on, and your wanted level is the number of dice I roll, and we take like the highest result. Obviously, you're wanted 0, so that's just no, you're wanted 0, so I roll 2 dice and take the lower result. And your heat is 2, so we roll on the first table. So I will just have a roll of that, and I take the lower result. Okay, and then I get a little choice of what to do it, and I can trigger it now, or I can trigger it during your downtime activities, or I get I'm not sure it precisely says, or I can even trigger it during a score, like the next score or something, I think. But I can either use it now or stock it up, right? And I am going to take a look. And you know what? I'll have a think about this. Yeah, okay. I'll have a think about this. And while I'm doing that, the next thing we do, which is the kind of bulk of the downtime phase, is downtime activities. So there's a selection of these, and essentially every character gets to pick 2 downtime activities to carry out. The only way that I think that gets reduced is if you're at war with another faction, in which case it's only 1. So you guys get 2. You can pay coin or rep to take more if you want, and you can take the same activity more than once. And the total activities are acquire asset, which is essentially gaining temporary use of an asset, whether that be an item, a cohort, a vehicle, a service. There is a long-term project, which is essentially just something you guys decide on, and you tell me you want to start a progress clock for something, and that can start happening. There is recovering, which is obviously a pretty good thing, basically healing harm. There is reducing heat, which does what it says on the tin. And then there is training, which allows you to add XP, and we should talk about XP after we've done the downtime phase as well. In fact, we should talk about XP before we do this, maybe. And then there's indulging vice, which is your main way of relieving stress. Also, it's worth noting with indulging vices that you don't have to do it. You don't have to try and reduce your stress. But if you do not or cannot indulge your vice during a downtime phase, you take stress equal to your trauma. So those of you who do not have trauma, that's not a problem. Pierre does have trauma, so if you don't indulge your vice as one of your downtime activities, you will gain a stress.
Yeah, I think also there's something about if you gained a trauma and then immediately, like, you don't have to do the vice thing the next time.
Oh, yes. I think you're absolutely right. I think there is.
I can't remember exactly, but it's something like that. I'll have a look. I'll look it up.
Yeah, have a look at it. I think you are right. I think if you gained a trauma, you that effect doesn't kick in the next downtime phase. I think you are right. I can't remember where I read it, but I think you're right. Before we do all that, though, it's probably worth talking about XP. Because if you're looking to train, you might want to know where your XP has gone. So let's have a look at what XP we got. So people will have had XP for during the game session. And I forgot to do it today if anyone did it, but hopefully we can remember. Mark 1 XP in the relevant attribute tracker for each desperate action roll. And I don't think that needs to be a successful one. I think it just needs to be rolling desperately.
Did we do any of those?
Someone definitely did a desperate
Pierre
roll.
did it. Pierre did one last one with his ghost stuff.
Yeah, but I marked XP when that happened.
Yeah. But someone definitely did a desperate roll today, and I can't remember what it was.
Was it Justin? Because
No, I don't think going through the mob was desperate.
Was it Echo getting past the light?
She didn't roll to get past it. She just wandered.
I just failed. That
was it definitely not 3 sheets in the riot? Was that desperate?
I don't.
I think it was. I think it was that.
Yeah, because it kind of escalated.
Maybe. I think it was that.
It went wrong.
I'm sure we'll get comments telling us if we're wrong, and then we'll just retroactively do it. But let's assume it's that for now. So in that case, Justin, give yourself a
prowess.
Is it prowess? Wasn't it a rec roll? Oh,
which is in prowess.
Oh, it is in prowess. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that makes sense. It would be weird if it wasn't in prowess. So there's that, and then for this, so let's go through this as a group. So you mark the following XP with 1 if it happened at all, and 2 if it happened a lot. They can be marked on any XP tracks you wish, or split between them. And there are 4 XP tracks. There's 1 for each attribute, and then there's your playbook one, which is what gives you more like special abilities and upgrades and stuff. So the first one is your playbook specific XP trigger. So your playbook should list a trigger. In the case of, for example, bricks, it is. Oh my god, where is it on the sheet?
You addressed a challenge with violence or coercion.
There we go.
It's the red one.
Absolutely. So if you can, and everyone else has a different one. If you can think of an example of it happening, then add 1. If you can think of it happening a lot, not particularly helpful division, then you can put 2.
So my one is.
Where are these ended?
So
where's what? Sorry, what your playbook XP? Playbook trigger.
Is there a place on the sheets to record the XP or
next to the special abilities? If you look to the right of that, it says playbook. And
do we think it makes sense for the going out and getting drunk at the start to try and find something and then ending up with a horrible hangover expresses 3 sheets drive to do exactly that?
Yeah.
What? Sorry.
Maybe your vice.
You're looking for your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. Is that the idea?
Well, let's do these one by one. Sorry, because we're jumping ahead. So you're looking for your playbook XP trigger, which is you addressed a challenge with tracking or violence.
Yeah, I think I did that.
Yeah.
So if you feel it was like an instance of it, then add 1 XP to wherever you want, and if you feel you did it a lot, then add 2 to wherever you want.
I made a lot of fun rolls on that one.
Yeah, I feel like I addressed several challenges with stealth or evasion. That was just like my main way of doing things through this whole session. So
Yeah, I have deception or influence. I feel like I did a lot of deceiving.
You
by a
did.
reasonable amount.
let's just give ourselves 1,000 XP.
It sadly didn't get a chance to respond to anything with violence, but I think my quite polite or else could count as coercion.
I think you're
Yes.
you with coercion. I think you definitely did that at least once. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then
And then, the next thing is you expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. And again, if you feel you did that once, mark 1 XP wherever you want. If you feel you did it lots, and that's all it says, lots, then give yourself 2 wherever you want.
does my voice speak, like, does my throat speaking count? I mean, that was
Well, here's the funny thing. It does, but I did that for you.
Yeah. So I'm like lame, but it is Taikarosi. Oh man.
I think I'm not going to score myself twice for the hunting thing, going out getting drunk. So I think it can fit this one and the next XP thing. So I think I'm gonna.
I think that's sensible. I think instances should only be able to fulfill one thing. I think that's a sensible approach. Sorry, what were you going to say, Pierre?
So I was just going to say on the next one, I feel like the instance where I struggled with my trauma, where it caused me an actual problem, was possibly one instance of trauma.
So that's the third one. Struggling with issues from your vice or trauma. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So those are the 3, basically. Playbook-specific XP triggers, expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background, and struggled with issues from your vice or trauma. And each one of those, if you feel you did it once, put 1 XP wherever you want. If you feel you did it twice, put 2 XP, lots rather, put 2 XP wherever you want. And that's in addition to the XP you get in specific trackers for making desperate action rolls.
Oh, Mr. Spokes is clarifying, saying a flashback can't be used to negate an encounter. It's currently happening, but it can change your position or effect. So yeah,
that's what we're doing. So
yeah, it's definitely
yeah.
But yeah, it does take a bit to be like, oh yeah, I changed my position and effect, but then like
yeah, it's getting to grips with like the positions and the effects is quite a sea change.
Yeah,
there we go. So yeah, that's the XP we're doing. So anyway, I think maybe what we might want to do is save the kind of narration of the downtime activities for the next session. Or the next stream, because I want to get some role play in there. I want to get some like fulfilling role play and scenes and stuff. So we'll probably save that for the next stream. But why don't we just say kind of what we're intending to do with our downtime activities now, so people know what they've got in store. So just to reiterate those different activities, you can have acquire assets, long-term projects, recovery, reduce heat, training, and indulging vice. So what kind of things are people intending to do? I'm smelling a lot of indulging of vice on the horizon.
Yes.
Can you do the same thing twice?
You can do the same thing twice. There are some that give different, like, for example, you can only train 1 XP track once. Like, you can't train twice and put it on the same XP track. But otherwise, yes, you can double up.
I should probably recover.
I think that's probably sensible.
Yeah, this hypothermia is going to mess me up otherwise. If I don't, so I don't have to indulge my vice, but if I want to use stress at all, probably.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because you earned a lot of stress afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Like after that happened, like that's one of the things I have to say that kind of led me to believe that you're out of the score if, like, you're traumatized, because then but then it has more. I know that's not technically what it is. It's intentionally left open, but that's one of the reasons why I thought that anyway. But I think everyone probably needs to get rid of some stress. Is anyone else intending anything? Is there any long-term project we want to
I have
start
ideas
rolling,
but not right now.
There's a couple long-term projects that I'm thinking about. I don't know which one I'll do, and also it kind of depends how well the indulging vice goes, because I want to get rid of stress. So if I roll for indulging vice and it goes badly, I might just indulge vice again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to hold you to anything you say now. One thing I would say is for the recover action, I don't think anyone. There definitely isn't one in your crew, and I don't think anyone has a contact who's a physiker.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to recover, at least someone might need to make an acquire asset roll.
Didn't we just make a contact who is a doctor? Maybe.
I have an enemy who's a doctor.
Great.
Well, that'll do. Yeah,
That will do.
Here's the thing. Okay, I will say that if someone wants to start, I don't think you can immediately get in with the doctor you just transported. But I would say that if you wanted to start a project to building links to them to make them a contact, it wouldn't be a hugely long one. How about that?
Yeah.
By the same token, though, if you want to be physicked now, acquiring asset to just get it might be a good thing to do, because Echo's in pretty bad shape.
I'll go for that.
Like an acquire asset,
and I think I'm too proud to particularly ask anyone else to help me out in this time of need. So I will try and acquire the asset of a physiker.
Sure, but that would of course lead you, if you want acquire asset and recovery, that means you can't indulge vice unless you spend some coin or rep to get that third activity.
Do our characters start with any coin? You start with none.
I think you do. Do you start with one coin? I don't know.
I haven't got it recorded anywhere.
I would have assumed so, but there's no particular reason why that need be true. You can spend crew coin though. I don't think you need people's agreement to spend crew coin, because one of the things you can buy with it is rep, and that's a crew thing.
Yeah.
Like I think you can just spend it. It doesn't seem to say that you start with coin in the character creation summary, at least. So maybe you don't.
Fair enough.
I mean, what use is coin apart from?
Obviously it's used for these things. It's also like the progress of your personal coin and your stash determines like the state of your character when you either choose to or are forced to retire them.
You also need like a lot of coin to improve the gang, the crew. Like
you need to spend coin to level up the crew.
So I'm acquiring asset and recovering.
I mean, the thing about indulging vice to get rid of stress, like it's good to not have stress, but I think I'm right in saying that all stress is voluntary. So you can do a score and decide to.
Yeah, I think all stress is voluntary so long as you're okay dying.
Yeah, or so long as you're okay just not doing challenges.
Yeah, sure. Well, no. Yeah.
No, I think
failing. But not.
You can typically, basically, you just accumulate harms until you die.
Sure.
If you never resist them, or I suppose you could get very lucky and roll sixes quite a lot.
Yeah, but not everything. Not everything is harm from a roll.
That is true. It could just be consequences. In which case, it is entirely avoidable. Yeah.
Yeah, your crew begins with 2 coin in the coffers, says Steve. Yeah, but we spend that all on faction upgrades and stuff. Yeah, faction status improvements. Yeah. So you do. I mean, the crew does have 3 coin.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what Pierre's thinking of anyway. How about you, John? What are you thinking of taking next week?
I was planning on going for engaging my vice and maybe also training, because I didn't earn an awful lot of XP in that score.
Sure. So training could be good. How about you, Sam?
I think I'm going to definitely indulge Vice, maybe indulge Vice twice, depending on how it goes. If it goes well the first time, I think I'll start doing some long-term project, which will likely be involved with trying to get some new contacts or something along those lines.
Sure. And how about 3 sheets, Justin?
At least 1 Vice, but probably 2, because the Vice roll is going to be only a single die, so I don't think there's very high chance that I'll recover very much stress with it. So I think it probably should be 2 Vice.
Sure. Well, we'll find out next week, and we'll find out if that entanglement comes along and bites them in the ass while they're trying to do any of that. Yeah, thanks very much for watching, folks. If you've got any questions or comments, pop them in the chat and Steve will flag them up for us. In the meantime, a wee bit of promo. We've got links below, links to Twitch and YouTube. You're watching on one, check out the other. We have links to social media, to our Discord, to Patreon. Those are all lovely things to look at. We run 3 weekly series, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, each of them starting at 8 o'clock BST. Call of Cthulhu Mondays, Blades in the Dark Tuesdays, and tomorrow we're starting Coriolis on Wednesdays for a couple of months, which is taking place of our usual Simbaroom streams. We also run monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. We've got a bunch of those from the beginning of the year in VODed, all over on our YouTube, and the most recent one, The Expanse, which was a mammoth 6.5 hours long, is still available on Twitch if you want to watch it there. We had a bunch of followers today: Old Uncle Mojo, Decronym, Nezar19, and Mr. Spokes. And thank you for being active in the chat, Mr. Spokes, as well. It's always nice to see. I think that's it, isn't it? That's everything. Are there any anything for us to talk about? Oh, here we go. One of the things I like about this game setting is that you're supposed to have some level of meta knowledge, having come up in the city and knowing the Shakers in the underworld at least. Yeah, there's like a certain sense of like the players can just volunteer information and it becomes canon, which is fun.
We're already connected to like people, and we already have like grudges and.
Yeah, and you can like spin them into like the flashbacks or whatever. So now we know that Silver goes drinking with anarchists, which is
it's that sort of company.
Could be exciting. Coin is a large liquid asset thing. You're assumed to have petty cash and stuff. Yeah.
So it's like big investments, I guess.
That you can store away, and I know there is a limit to literally how much you can stash as well at first. And how much you can just store as coin, even in your lair, which I think is 4. I think it's pretty low. I could be wrong.
Is that what that means?
Isn't it 4 per person or something? Or
I think our crew can have
I think
4, and then
each
we
person can have 4. But I think, that's it. Yeah, 4. So each person can have 4 before it becomes unwieldy, and the crew can have 4 until it becomes unwieldy. But you can acquire vaults, which can increase how much coin the crew can just keep. But you can also put coin in a stash. Stashes don't have a top limit on how much you can store, but there's a conversion rate for getting coin out of your stash, which is you get, I think it's like you get 1 coin for every 2 stash you reduce.
So it's like money laundering right here. It's just
I think it's like more that like, it's hard if you want to get cash for something specific in a hurry. Then you convert it. It takes a lot of.
It's liquidating assets in a hurry. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. You're drawing it out of your pension fund.
Yeah, and stash is essentially the long running tracker that what determines how well you do when your character is done, and that's it. But pulling stuff out of it is costly. So
is stash also the basis? I feel like I read something like this where stash is like the basis for how your lifestyle is generally.
Yes. So when you have to make fortune, when you have to make fortune rolls based on your like lifestyle, they're affected by how much you've got in stash. So it can have beyond just when your character ends, it can have a mechanical effect in the game as it's.
So at the moment, we're just all in rags and
you've got shit all so you don't have any individual coin, and the crew has 3 coin. But then again, if you pulled off the same score again, you can't have 6 coin with your crew. So you have to start making choices. Do you put that 2 coin in stashes? Do you divvy it up between? Like, how do you do that?
To Echo.
Yeah.
No, that
way. Does Echo take it all?
We're not rich in coin, but we're rich in friends.
Does Echo feed it all to whatever is lurking under her scarf? You know,
It hungers.
Cool. All right, we're past time now, folks, so we'll wrap it up. But thanks so much to Steve for stream managing. Thank you to my wonderful players, and thank you to everyone for watching. We'll catch you with more Blades in the Dark next week, and if you feel like it, please turn up to the series debut of Coriolis tomorrow night. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Farewell.